Jayson Tatum is back for the Boston Celtics, and in the 8 games he's played for them so far, he's looked good but not great. Obviously, his shooting efficiency is down and there's some other issues, but with that comes also some benefits. Let's talk about it. Let's go over it. Tatum's shooting splits are really what has most fans concerned because his field goal percentage is obviously down, and for a historically not very efficient player, seeing it drop even more is concerning. However, his rebounds per game are actually up post Achilles tear, which is a great boost for the Celtics because they have really needed rebounding this year. With all that being said, Tatum is still averaging great numbers and definitely helping the Celtics. The most glaring difference in Tatum's game post Achilles injury is the efficiency on drives and layups, where before he injured himself he was averaging about a point per possession on these, and post injury he's averaging about 0.7 points per possession. This is on roughly the same amount of attempts per game. The Celtics were one of the worst rebounding teams to start the year, mostly because Tatum wasn't out there, and frankly they've been a good defensive team all year, but the second chance points have been crushing them. With Tatum on the floor, second chance points for opponents are down to about 9 from 14 with him off the floor, and in a league that comes down to the margins a lot of the times, being able to get that first shot defense is great, but you have to also grab the rebound. Tatum's given them a boost immediately in this area. We can't talk about Tatum's return without talking about what players had to do in his absence, and players like Derek White specifically had to take on increased shot creation roles and ball handling roles, which have led to decreased efficiency, especially on three-point shooting for Derek White. With JT out of the lineup, only 60 to 70% of Derek White's three-point attempts were assisted. That number is well over 90% now that JT is back, and he is shooting 42% on 3 points directly assisted by Jayson Tatum. A nice little offensive boost for a team that has really been needing it. You can see in this play that Jayson Tatum draws Devin Booker's attention just long enough to get Derek White a nice uncontested 3-point shot. Again here, JT draws 2 and Derek White gets a wide open 3-pointer in the corner. The Celtics defense has looked amazing since Tatum's return, with a rating of about 102 per 100 possessions in the month of February. Now, this does not mean that Jayson Tatum is the same defender he used to be. You'll see in a lot of these plays that he used to jump and contest, he's opting for more of a swipe. Like this one right here, he swipes in at the ball but does not jump to try to contest the shot. It is more evident in games like this where James Harden pushes the ball and he doesn't attempt to block the shot from Mobley. You saw this a lot more early on. More recent games like the game against the Suns, however, you see him more mobile and he actually does try to get up and block this shot from D-Book. We have to remember, despite Jayson Tatum being back, these games are part of his recovery and we want to see some progression like I talked about, where early on he wasn't jumping and now he's doing more athletic things and he is trying to contest these shots a bit more. Seeing this much progress so quickly is a good sign because he's only been back for, again, 8 games. Can't talk about the Celtics and Jayson Tatum without talking about Jaylen Brown, who's had a steady decrease in his shooting percentage since about December. This is probably because he's been operating at a historically high offensive usage rate around 36%, which would be good for 15th of all time. Since he's come back, this has dropped down to about 31%, taking a little bit of the load off of Jaylen Brown's shoulders. In the 8 games since JT came back, Jaylen Brown has shot over 50% in 4 of them and only under 40% in 1 of them. This should be pretty good news for the Celtics, as a decreased offensive load for Brown should allow for him to rest up and be fully prepared for a deep playoff run in which they will definitely need him. Just an example of it on the floor, JT drew 2, which allowed Brown to get to the bucket relatively easy, get a little contact, get the rim. Again, JT draws 2, KP, Draymond out to a wide open 3 for JB. Just another one of those plays. Right here, you see JB didn't have to start the offense, so he's got a little bit more energy to get to that mid-range. Again, just a very efficient shot for him. JT again, running the offense here, gets to JB on a pin down from Keita, wide open 3-pointer. With all this being said, I think it's important to remember that JT is still in the recovery process. Recently in an interview, he even suggested it himself, saying he's not Superman. Roll the clip.
Not every quarter is going to be perfect. Like, how are you kind of feeling with that part?
I know how this shit was going to be. It's tough in the moment, right? You try not to think about it. You just want to be Jayson Tatum and feel like yourself again. I'm not Superman, so it's obviously going to take some time. I think the next day I can give myself a little more grace over certain things, but in the moment, it's frustrating.
At the end of the day, we do have to remember just how quickly JT came back and how unprecedented it is for him to already be playing at this level. That's it for now. I'm Isaac from High Expectations. Like and subscribe.